Viewers familiar with my videos and blogs have been asking for a little background, in the interest of finding a little commonality, I suppose. So here goes a little explanation of the madness in my methods, or methods in my madness. It was my birthday yesterday, which may be the madness behind selecting this topic today. To begin, yours truly is basically self-taught, at least as far as programming goes. When I went to school, PCs didn't even exist yet. I did study hardware for 2 years of college. In my working career, I became fascinated by the microprocessors used in the products I was servicing. Long story short, I ended up doing programming on the Motorola 6800 MPU in assembler. My computer was also 6800 based and featured 2 8-inch floppies for storage. We couldn't afford the full 64K, not meg, of memory, so I made do with 32K. After a while, I got to the point where I could disassemble 6800 assembly code backwards in my sleep. So, I'm dating myself. This is my excuse for being a bigot in some areas. I don't do Windows. If it can't be done in Linux, I don't do it. I actually did use Windows during the previous millennium, but XP/2000 was the last usable version. Gates et al. Have only gone downhill since. Another bigotry is regarding my approach to MCUs and the IDEs used to program them. I like to see under the hood when I'm tinkering, and to have factory tools where possible. Like many of us, I got started with MCUs using the Arduino IDE. It is great for just that, getting started. Some people say it has done the world a great service in this respect. I have mixed feeling on the subject. The fact that many young people have been exposed to programming is indeed laudable. But it is not precisely a factory tool. It is designed for Arduino's line of modules, which feature MCUs from various manufacturers. While they must be commended for making the IDE adaptable to other architectures, this also means double work for these companies. The Arduino is not ideal for professional use, and the developers of MCUs do need to sell their products for integration into real-world products. It is very kind of these firms to cater, to more or less extent, to amateur hobbyists such as ourselves. But if we have an interest in programming closer to the level of a professional engineer, we should consider downloading the technical reference manuals and using the IDEs recommended by the developers of the MCU we are using. I have found that there is a world of hidden powers to be unleashed using this approach. Also, for the reasons given above, the release of Arduino support packages can often be many months behind that of the OEM IDE support, especially when it comes to ongoing updates. Playing with an existing sketch and watching the effect of changing a couple of variables is great for beginners to get their tootsies wet. But it should engender a thirst for greater understanding. This is where I find the Arduino IDE to be wanting. Specifically, the boot-up code and, more importantly, the library source code is not readily accessible to the user. Essentially, we become copiers instead of makers. That said, here are some examples of OEM-supported IDEs. Espressif, the producers of the ESP8266 and the ESP32 with all of their many variants, provides the Espressif IDE. It is Eclipse-based. They do a great job of keeping it updated every time they release a new product or product update. WCH, makers of the CH32V003, CH592 etc., use the Moon River Studio IDE. Moon River is Eclipse-based. At times their English documentation lags behind the Chinese. Microchip, the company that took over Atmel, originators of the AT Mega 328, ATmega 2560, etc. Their MP Lab X IDE is finally available for Linux. SST Micro is known for their STM32 series of ARM-based MCUs. ST deserves an honorable mention for their graphical IDE, STM32Cube-MX. My bigotry keeps me away from ARM MCUs. I prefer RISC-V. You may have noticed that I mention Eclipse. This is a generic IDE suitable for programming in several languages and designed to be adaptable to many frameworks. In the case of Moon River and Espressif IDE, we have the advantage of a common UI between these two development environments. This makes the learning curve less steep. Budding programmers looking for employment in industry will get a better reception mentioning they are familiar with Eclipse than they would with the Arduino IDE. Another alternative to Arduino is Platform.io. It is actually available as a plugin for both VS Code and Eclipse IDEs. It also has an Arduino plugin so you could combine both worlds. Another IDE-like piece of software that I recently tried with little success so far is Android Studio. A steep learning curve for myself, perhaps due to my bigotry regarding cell phones. I hate them with the burning passion of 10,000 supernovae. Could be a case of sour grapes on my part. My handicaps prevent me from using them as intended, and it seems the whole world assumes that we are born with one in our hand, but being so ubiquitous, the cell phone has to be considered as one of the most popular of remote control devices. Sticking with RISC-V MCUs, as I have been, the ESPs can act as a web server, and so may be controlled from a browser on a desktop or a phone. The WCH offerings, on the other hand, only support BLE for connectivity, which is the only reason I even considered Android. I hope one day to be able to offer a project featuring Android BLE remote control. For an even further twist on this theme, I want to mention a hardware IDE I use to produce PCBs for my products. Although there are many available, I have chosen Easy EDA. Did I mention it's free? I found it to be very intuitive and especially like its integration with LCSC, which is China's equivalent to DigiKey. No need to create your own parts libraries. It is also closely linked to JLC PCB, which is one of the best PCB fabricators for prototyping work. With one click you can submit your complete board package and get an instant quote and go on to order. They offer extremely fast turnaround and very attractive pricing. You get coupons at least monthly to make the prices even better. And a great coupon offer for first-time users. I find their SMT assembly service indispensable. I can't solder. They can do through hole as well. Custom 3D printing is also offered. I hope this rant may inspire some eager hobbyists to move up to a higher level for their next projects. The day we stop learning is the day we stop. Many thanks for your kind attention from CanHobby Explorations. Please check the description for links to my exploration blogs, as well as related products. Likes and subscriptions are very much appreciated. Coffee too.